Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
I want to say it's good to have you.
Same.
Thank you for your time. Now, the price of oil has continued to nosedive from over $100 per barrel to less than $50 per barrel. Now, what are the implications of this to global business?
Our economy is regarded as a monocultural economy in the sense that more than 80% of our foreign exchange earnings come from oil. If we struggled when the price of oil was over 100 naira per barrel, you can then imagine what it would be now that it's nosediving. So clearly it would have very significant impacts on the Nigerian economy. Simply because we had refused to plan. And every time we have this kind of scenario, it creates a shock in our economy. And I think this is something that we should have overcome over the years.
Okay. When you say this is something we should have overcome over the years, does that imply that the Nigerian government had clearly they've not been doing what they should do?
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of managing economy?
Absolutely. This is clearly, attributable to bad economic management. And this is not the first time that the price of oil would drop. I recall that in the late 90s and the early 2000s, I think the price of oil got to a low point of, I think, about $12 per barrel. I mean, we survived because, I would like to believe that there were better management capabilities of the economy at that particular point in time, which did not let us sink. Okay, and if we survived through that period, and we got to a point that the price of oil went as high as over 100 naira per barrel, and here we are, it's still, just below $50, and we're already complaining. It means that we did not save for the rainy days, or we missed.
The Nigerian government in the last quarter of 2014 devalued the naira as a measure to cushion the effects of the declining global oil prices. Do you see this as a smart move, considering that Nigerians depend largely on importing raw materials for production? Well,
we didn't have a choice. There must be a reaction to the price of oil that was going down. And I think in the wisdom of the economic managers, they felt that devaluation of the naira would be a way out. Clearly, it is the Nigerian economy as it is currently positioned is unsustainable. We have to find the mechanisms for creating a productive economy. The Nigerian economy is not productive, so anything that comes at us affects us very, very easily and very quickly. Nigeria is not the only oil-producing country in the world. And I know many oil-producing countries who are doing much better than Nigeria, even in terms of production, and they are not screaming as much as we are screaming. So if you don't have a productive economy, if your productive base is weak, and you have the kind of assault on us that the oil price is presenting to us, clearly there would have to be some reactions, and part of that reaction will be to devalue the naira.
Well, you just said it. That's a reaction from the federal government to the oil prices, declining oil prices. If I would ask you, do you personally think that's a smart move? From your own point of view?
Well, whether it's a smart move or not, you really do not have too much choice in the matter. That's the scenario that you have been presented with. The oil price has come down. You have no productive base to shore up your economy or to support your economy. So what you begin to see clearly is impact on your currency. You also begin to see the impact on your interest rates. You begin to see impacts in all those fiscal and monetary indicators that you quickly have to find a mechanism to adjust to. Money is not going to come from any other source anyway, because money always comes from oil alone. So what you would then find the economic managers trying to do is to raise taxes, if possible, or to make their their revenue collection machinery more effective or more efficient. They would do something about the foreign exchange. They necessarily have to do it. Whether it is a smart move or not remains to be seen, but I think that is one of the critical reactions that need to be made.
Okay, to you and me, we understand what devaluation means, but to the ordinary Nigerian on the street out there, what would you tell them that this is what devaluation is all about?
Well, it's not about just the ordinary person on the street. It affects all of us. Before devaluation, the rate of exchange, $1 to naira was $1 to slightly over 150. But now it's almost close to 200. It impacts those who depend on foreign inputs for their production. Those who have to make remittances abroad, it's affecting them. Clearly, it would also affect, of course, the ordinary man on the street, because once the value of your currency depreciates, then, of course, you find inflation being affected, and, of course, you find the price of goods going up. So it will affect virtually everybody, including both those in the real sector, those in the informal sector, and even individual purchasing power.
But there is a huge problem, and that is the fact that we do not even appreciate locally made goods. What would you say to this?
There's no way you can absolve the government of the blame in this matter, because they are in charge of the economy of Nigeria. They are the economic managers of Nigeria, and what we have seen is that they have mismanaged the economy of Nigeria. Government usually is the biggest spenders, so they are the ones who also put all this pressure on the economy. The government also has a responsibility to regulate the rate at which we bring in foreign goods. And if you notice, a lot of the foreign goods that we're even talking about that put a lot of pressure on our foreign exchange are luxury good items that have little or no bearing on the well-being of the common man. So our consumption pattern has been badly warped, in the sense that we go for items that we probably don't even need, and we fail to develop the internal capacity for our real sector to take its place as the drivers of the Nigerian economy.
In one or two sentences, would you want to review Nigeria's economy in 2014, and then where would you place Nigeria's economy in 2015, considering the 2015 budget is still at the National Assembly and then the 2015 election?
Well, so many things are adding up to put pressure on the Nigerian economy, really. 2014 looks like it was going to be a good year for Nigeria, because consistently in the last few years, in the last 5 to 6 years, the Nigerian economy has been growing at a rate of more than 6, sometimes 7% per annum. And that would have been sustained, if we had not come to this oil price miasma. So 2014 really should have been a good year for Nigeria, except that we also failed to do the things that mattered, which would have been for us to look at a time that we would have the kind of scenario that we have on our hands. So clearly the 2015 economy would be all about how do we get out of this quagmire that we have found ourselves. And even though on a personal note, I don't think I have so much confidence in the current economic managers, because they haven't given us that kind of confidence. So we're going to struggle through 2015. There's going to be a lot of hit and runs. There's going to be hit and misses. There's going to be a lot of trial and errors to see whether we can reposition the economy. But all of that would even have been possible or meaningful if we had not had the kind of political environment that we have right now. So I don't see the Nigerian economy, really taking the kind of life that it should take in terms of the capacity of the economic managers to commit time and effort to managing the kind of economy that we found ourselves in right now. So clearly 2015 would be a bit convoluted, especially from the beginning of the year. The government itself has announced some kind of austerity measures, which is saying to us that all of us should tighten our belts. And I think that's one thing that we have to do. However, the government that is saying tighten your belt, how much of their own belts are they tightening? How much efforts are they making to reduce the recurrent expenditure, which usually goes as high as 70%? And if you look at it in the in an election year, you know, it's even much more pressure.
Thank you, Mr. Famakiwa, for your professional insight and time on our program Today's Business. We hope to have you again.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, viewers. And Today's Business continues in a moment.